Hey, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Happy Fibro Friday. I hope you're taking good care of yourselves, and I hope that you're prioritizing your self care as you should. You always deserve the best of care and especially the best of self care. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive, hopefully not too long though, into the worlds of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, or as it may be known to some, CFS. The ME is for myalgic encephalomyelitis. Mouthful. That's why most people say CFS. These two things, fibromyalgia in this condition, CFS, overlap quite a bit. And as someone who might be on the outside of these worlds, if you're experiencing these symptoms, you might be thinking which one fits you best. And so I'll kind of discuss a little bit of what the hallmarks are for both, some of the symptoms that overlap, and what you need to know if you're trying to get the most accurate diagnosis if you suspect that one of these conditions fits you. So, for starters, before I joined or before I became a patient of my current doctor's practice, which is concierge healthcare, I went to a doctor, like most people, who was working through a clinic, and she missed all of the signs for fibromyalgia. She missed them bad, which is laughable when you consider that she had titled herself a chronic fatigue syndrome specialist. With me having so many of the symptoms that could fall possibly under chronic fatigue, you'd think she would think, maybe there's something else going on here. I brought these symptoms to her for years, in which she encouraged lifestyle changes that, after implementing, did not actually change much because I had something far more serious than what she was seeing, and she never properly referred me. I will never be okay with how that went down. That being said, this is why I go to concierge healthcare now, because they have far more resources to support patients properly. They are not medical mills like most clinics are. That being said, you may have a situation similar to the one I had before I went to a concierge healthcare provider. If you're going to a regular doctor, many of them are either just not interested in doing the discerning between the symptoms, or they may be just limited in what they know. There could be many reasons why they won't properly refer you or give you a good diagnosis in house. However, if you suspect I have some sort of chronic illness going on, that's what's going on in your mind, right? You think you have a chronic illness, you have narrowed it down to possibly fibromyalgia or ME/CFS because none of the other things really fit, but those two are so close you don't know which one is which. Here are the differences you need to know between the two. The hallmark for fibromyalgia, can't even say it, is pain. That is the leading factor. And that is why fibromyalgia fits me, because while I have the symptoms for both fibromyalgia and CFS, fibromyalgia is a more accurate description because pain was the thing that really got me. I woke up and I felt like I had the flu, body aches every day. Even though I didn't have the flu, I felt like I had been in a car crash some days, just achiness that didn't make sense. That is the hallmark for fibromyalgia. That is what leads the charge with all these other symptoms. On the other hand, ME/CFS, the fatigue is what is the hallmark. You're extremely tired. You may have all the other symptoms. You may be achy, you might be having brain fog, you might be having sleep issues, but the main thing that you say all the time is, I am so tired. I'm so fatigued. It doesn't matter how long I sleep, I don't get enough rest. Now, don't get me wrong. That is also my life with fibromyalgia. But for me, the pain was the leader. If you have ME/CFS, the tired is leading it. So you just look at which symptom is the biggest one. Are you extremely fatigued with pain being kind of secondary? Or are you in a lot of constant dull pain, or maybe even something other than dull? It could be sharp, it could be stabbing, it could be pulsing. It could be any number of pain descriptors. But is the pain what's in the forefront of your condition? Those are the biggest differences between the two, because everything else, as far as symptoms, overlap tremendously. It also determines who you go to see for help, because what happens is fibromyalgia, they send you to a rheumatologist. ME/CFS, a neurologist is where you need to go. Funny thing though, now medicine is slowly coming around to the fact, which anyone with fibromyalgia could have told them this. They're coming around to the fact that a neurologist is also a suitable care provider for someone who has fibromyalgia. Most of the time, you have some neurological stuff going on that has symptoms alongside your fibromyalgia, but they're also recognizing that fibromyalgia is a neurological condition and not a muscular one, not an autoimmune one, which is what rheumatologists tend to deal with more than anything. Fibromyalgia used to be this kind of silo in the middle of these different medical disciplines, and it just kind of got pushed over to rheumatology because, muscle pain, and you got to go through all the tests to see if you've got something autoimmune going on anyway. And if it's not, then you get fibromyalgia as your label. But if it is, hey, you're already at the rheumatologist getting the test done, they can help you. Well, now they're realizing if you have fibromyalgia, there's a very good chance that your neurologist is going to be a pretty solid bet, which I've talked about before. So, between those two categories, fibromyalgia, ME/CFS, look at what symptoms are the most prominent, and the one that tends to get the most reaction out of you is probably the way you want to lean. But if I have to be very honest with you all, and I will be very honest with you all, if you are experiencing an equal amount of pain as well as fatigue, just go to a neurologist. You can absolutely go to a rheumatologist if it's quicker to get in. But ultimately, my best experience came from a neurologist, and I do not have ME/CFS as far as I know. I have some of the symptoms, but I haven't been labeled with that. If you have fibromyalgia, a neurologist is just a really good way to go, because, like I said, medicine is slowly coming around to the idea that your neurologist, as far as a discipline, neurology is probably best for both fibro and ME/CFS together. Just go to a neurologist to start with. And if you can't get into one, if you need a referral and your doctor's not giving you one to a neurologist, then of course go to a rheumatologist. Um, they are well equipped to run all of the tests to eliminate every other possible scenario as far as those autoimmune conditions, which have very similar symptoms to fibromyalgia. Most autoimmune conditions have like 90% of the same symptoms, but there will also be, a couple other things that will actually show up on test for you. So, yeah, that's it. If you are extra fatigued and that is what is dominating your life and really getting in the way of you functioning properly or functioning normally, then ME/CFS might be what you're experiencing, and you go to a neurologist for that. If it's mostly pain that you are noticing, definitely still tired, but if pain is what's slowing down your life, then yes, possibly in the fibromyalgia category, consider rheumatology or neurology. Actually, technically, if you think it's ME/CFS, you could go to a rheumatologist too. They'll still do that battery of tests to get you down to that diagnosis of elimination. So, yeah, that is it. Have you been diagnosed with ME/CFS? Have you been diagnosed with fibromyalgia? Are you waiting to get a diagnosis for either one? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions, leave them below. As always, I am not a doctor. And you know that because I put it in my description box. But if you need a reminder, there you go. And yeah, that is it for today. Please continue to take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and a great weekend. And I will talk to you all very soon. Bye-bye.